All right, how's it going? I got another video for you. So I was like on Twitter for a little bit. I was gonna do a video on something else, but I came across this first. this is such a creepy looking picture. It's like, but it's saying Twitter CEO Jack announced he is donating around 28% of his wealth, $1 billion in Square equity to coronavirus relief efforts. So if we actually go into this, it's saying Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey announced he is donating $1 billion of his equity in Square, around 20% of his wealth, according to Dorsey, to fund coronavirus relief efforts. Jack Dorsey tweeted Tuesday that he's moving $1 billion to his new limited liability company, Start Small. He said the LLC status gives his new fund flexibility to provide grants to beneficiary organizations. I'm moving $1 billion of my Square equity, roughly 28% of my wealth, to Start Small LLC to fund global COVID-19 relief. Good Lord. After we disarm this pandemic, the focus will shift to girls' health and education and UBI. It will operate transparently. All flows tracked here. Once the pandemic subsides, the leftover funds will go towards other causes. The tech CEO said, just what I just read. Dorsey said in a tweet thread that he hopes his donation will inspire others to do something similar. Dorsey emphasized transparency by allowing the public to view where the money has gone to through an online document. He said the reason for transparency is it's important to show my work so I and others can learn. I've discovered and funded $40 million. Many orgs with proven impact and efficiency in the past, mostly anonymously. Going forward, all grants will be public. So the headline is a little misleading. It's saying he pledges $1 billion to coronavirus relief, but what he did was take $1 billion and he started another company. Now that company will be supposedly helping towards the pandemic, and then other things after that. It almost sounds like a nonprofit, but it's the LLC. Girls' health, education, UBI. I don't like the idea of a government UBI, but if an individual company wants to somehow try to implement some UBI, I mean, it's their money. The issue with the government trying to do it is like they're taking, if they were to start doing it, they'd take your money, whether you wanted to or not, through taxes and give it out to other people. And only like the actual top 40% of people actually pay actual taxes. The rest of them like get it back. So that's the whole wealth distribution thing, which I'm not a fan of. So we go to this thing here. It's just going back over it. Why now? The needs are increasingly urgent. I want to see impact in my lifetime. I hope this inspires others to do something similar. Life's too short, so let's do everything we can. I mean, it's great that he's doing something. He seems to be... he himself seems to be a little bit more... it seems to be better than the board itself from what I've seen. He at least seems open from what I've seen from the Joe Rogan podcasts with Tim Pool and what's the Vija? I can't remember her name. But if we go here as Vox, I'm not really a fan of Vox, but we'll use this anyway. What you should know about Jack Dorsey's surprising $1 billion commitment to charity. Jack Dorsey is making the country's most significant private gift to tackling the coronavirus and its consequences, pledging to spend up to $1 billion as part of an unexpected philanthropic push. The founder of Twitter and Square announced Tuesday he would move $1 billion of his own money into a limited liability company, where the funds will go in part is to addressing COVID-19. Dorsey described the gift as intended to fund global COVID-19 relief, but didn't specify how much of the money would be earmarked for that, as opposed to pushing for girls' health and education and universal basic income, which he said the LLC, called Start Small, would back once the pandemic subsides. Now, I'm hoping he's not trying to use it as a eventually will use it as a lobbying type group to force the government into UBI. That would be bad. Even if only 10% of the money would go to COVID work, though, Dorsey would become the country's biggest public philanthropist during the crisis. Other tech titans like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Michael Dell have each so far pledged $100 million. Is it let's say $1 billion, right? Divide that by 10. That's 100. Yeah, that's. We'll get into a little. They have a little Jeff Bezos thing. We'll get into that too, because I'd mentioned that I think in yesterday's video as well. Billionaire philanthropists like LLCs because they offer the donor flexibility and total control in how the money can be used, including for political donations, for-profit investments, and non-profit grants. But transparency advocates have long criticized LLCs, which have been established by other tech philanthropists. It's like late. Like Mark Zuckerberg, Lauren Powell Jobs, and Perry Omadar. I don't know who that is. For evading some public disclosure about the types of gifts they make. It's their own money. They can do. If Jack wants to be transparent, that's great. But if the individual wants the public not to know what they're doing with their own money, or their own company's money, then it's none of your business. I hate this like PC virtue signaling social justice warrior crowd. Dorsey is also using a donor advised fund, which is another opaque approach to facilitate some grants. But Dorsey, who does not have a long public record as a philanthropist, has taken steps to mitigate those concerns. He has promised to reveal all the donations he has made on a public spreadsheet, which he tweeted a link to on Tuesday. That was one of his, I think that might have been his pinned tweet. Yeah, that. So if you're curious. That said, all disclosures will be voluntary, and there will be some key financial information that will not be disclosed as it would be if Dorsey's money come from a traditional foundation. The LLC will also not be required to donate 5% of its assets each year as would a foundation. Why now? The needs are increasingly urgent, and I want to see the impact in my lifetime, Dorsey tweeted. I hope this inspires others to do something similar. Life is too short. Let's do everything we can to help people now. The gift comes in the form of about 20 million shares in Square, which Dorsey said amounts to about 28% of his net worth, recently pegged at $3.3 billion. Some billionaires have come under fire for making paltry coronavirus-related donations that sound impressive but are relatively small percentages of their assets. I don't think they understand how net worth is dictated. If you own a company, that's considered part of your net worth. You just don't have millions and billions of dollars of cash just sitting in the bank. Dorsey said he's given $40 million in the past and mostly anonymous charitable gifts. The $1 billion could also give Dorsey more political power down the line at a time of growing concern about the role of billionaires in politics. Because this is an LLC, Dorsey could use the money on advocacy efforts to push for politics such as universal basic. Yeah, so he's pushing for policies. Yeah, that's not good then. Which would increase the size of... Okay, so that's terrible. If it's his own money he's wanting to give out, or a company's money, but pushing for policies, especially universal basic income, it's horrible, terrible. Dorsey's donation comes amid a broader reckoning about the power of billionaires. This is coming from that, the billion, they have so much wealth. They still all, no, they've, a lot of these, I can't remember, I know for millionaires, 90% of them generated that in their lifetime. Billionaires, I'm not sure about the statistics on that. But they're so evil because they have money, and they're just not going to give me their money. Just give me your money. Who cares if you worked for it? Just give me your money. I hate that mindset. Dorsey's donation comes amid a broader reckoning about the power of billionaire philanthropists, some of whom are showing more leadership during the pandemic than the government officials. Well, officials are kind of like tied behind all this red tape and things they can and can't do. And if you're just an individual that has a lot of money, you can do more. While the resources are needed to tackle an unprecedented crisis, the gifts also elevate tech leaders and give them more power than ever. Then we'll go into the why Jeff Bezos' $100 million donation to food banks won't satisfy his critics. He gave $100 million. I'm like, that's not enough. He's worth more. He should give everything he has. Jeff Bezos has given $1 million to help America's hungry during the coronavirus crisis, a gift that is one of the largest by a tech leader in response to the pandemic. But it also comes amid mounting concerns about how Bezos is treating his employees. In his day job as CEO of Amazon, I did yesterday or the day before, I did one about I did a video. You can check it out. It's about there was Amazon workers in New York and there's other places too, worried about conditions and trying to do kind of like a protest strike thing, then one getting fired. So you can check that out. Bezos announced on Thursday that he would be making the donation to Feeding America, a nonprofit that is serving as a clearinghouse to distribute money to food banks around the country. The gift is the nonprofit's largest ever single donation, Bezos' third biggest commitment to date, and is tied for the single largest coronavirus commitment to date from tech philanthropists, with the $100 million pledge by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gifts like these are significant and needed during a crisis like this, but billionaires' philanthropy has increasingly come under fire as a distraction from valid criticisms of how these same billionaires earn their money. They provide a service and a product that has changed the economy. Amazon has. How many people order something and get it like in the next day? Stuff that either you don't want to go out to the store to get, or stuff you can't get at a brick and mortar store near you. There's a ton of things I order online. I order it there because stores around here don't have it. They have like certain things online. Some random small person somewhere has it. They're able to put it online. And because of that, they're able to grow, employ people, put into the economy. I don't know, like, these are the same people. It feels like there's like, oh, capitalism bad, socialism good. Who cares? Like socialism, communism has like mass murdered hundreds of millions of people. All right, let's get back to this. Gifts like these are significant and needed during a crisis like this, but billionaires' philanthropy has increasingly come under fire as a distraction from valid criticisms of how these same billionaires earn their money. Bezos, for instance, is drawn scrutiny for not protecting warehouse and logistic workers enough from the coronavirus outbreak. He's given them 2 weeks of paid leave. They're doing cleanings of the facilities. Like I mentioned before, like logistics is essentially the bloodline and veins of people, of the economy, getting resources around, getting food to the grocery stores, getting products to businesses and houses and stuff like that. The gift was announced around the same time Vice News reported that Bezos had sat in meetings where Amazon leadership sought ways to smear a worker who sounded the alarm bell about health and safety concerns. That's not why they fired him. At one of the biggest warehouses, Staten Island, they fired him because he had come in contact with somebody that tested positive. They had him go home. Then for the like little protest thing, he came back and endangered more people by possibly infecting them. That's why he got fired. But of course, that's why I don't like Vox. They like smear it, obviously like left-leaning, kind of social justice warrior type way. And still, even with that context and the positive PR it will engender, the donation could make a real difference. The $100 million. How long is this? Okay. The $100 million will enable us to provide more food to millions of our neighbors facing hardships during the crisis, said Feeding America in a statement. Countless lives will be changed because of his generosity. Feeding America, one of the country's biggest charities, runs a network of about 200 food banks. The fund is created to cope with the coronavirus, which originally had just 2.7 million in it. It is distributing emergency supplies to food banks across the country. Just On Wednesday, the group predicted that food banks would need 1.4 billion more over the next 6 months to feed the hungry. I want to support those on the front lines of our nation's food banks and those who are relying on them. Bezos said in an Instagram post announcing the donation. It is where he seems to make all of his personal announcements these days. After years of criticism for his relatively stingy public philanthropy giving, Bezos has opened his wallet considerably over the last 2 years. He's probably actually had enough money where he can do these over the last couple of years. Announced in his 3 largest gifts to date, now the world's richest person, Bezos, since 2018, has also pledged $2 billion for a new charitable effort focused on aiding homelessness and early childhood education, along with a $10 billion climate change fund earlier this year. Some critics of billionaire philanthropy are quick to point out that these are very small percentages of Bezos' net worth. Once again, net worth doesn't mean it's just cash in the bank. It is indeed just 0.08% of his $120 billion in assets. But given that this is one of the largest coronavirus-related gifts yet, to be critical of the Bezos gift is to be critical of the size of all philanthropic donations amid the global crisis. I can hit like a huge, because I don't know where they're at now, but I remember the Amazon stocks, at least a couple months ago, were sitting at like $1,700 a share. I imagine like a massive amount. His net worth has probably gone down the last month or so, just because all the stock market stuff is going down. Because him, especially being the CEO, I don't know, maybe even most or a huge majority of his net worth is probably tied in stocks in Amazon. Then that can fluctuate with the stock market. But I just came across that. I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah, so if he wanted to do UBI, that'd be great. But him pushing for political policies about UBI, terrible. But if he wants to help out with his own money and pledging a huge amount to fight the coronavirus and give it some relief in some regards, that's great. So, all right. So if you like this video, you can give it a like. If you really liked it, you can subscribe. I'm trying to do these daily videos, trying to build this channel up. But, all right. Peace.